Hello, friends and fellow board gamers. Welcome back to another episode of Board Games with Rob. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the board game House of Fado, designed by Lacerda. Now, what's the first thing that you think about when you hear that designer's name? More than likely, it's going to be long duration games that take a couple hours to play, heavy Euro, lots of mechanics. And you know what? Normally you'd be right, but I was really excited to find out that there is a line of Lacerda games that are not that long to play. There's Mercado de Lisboa, there's Bot Factory, and then there's this one, House of Fado. So I normally like heavy Euro games I like Euro games a lot. So when I found out that there was a lighter weight one that I could get to the table and learn very quickly, more importantly, teach very quickly, I wanted to find out about it. So let me talk to you a little bit about how the game plays, and then I'll come back and give you my thoughts. All right, so I've got the board set up and I've got a single player board here. The game plays 1 to 4 players. There is a solo mode, and I'm going to talk about at a very high level the different actions that are available. At its heart, House of Fado is a worker placement game, and it's played over a number of actions. Everybody's going to take actions until 3 stars are taken. And you'll see out here placed on the board, there's 5 of them. Once 3 stars have been taken, the game will end immediately. And so how does one get a star? Well, let me talk about the different worker placement sections in this. This is a really heavily themed game, and there's really just a couple different sections or areas to focus on. Up here, you've got places to hire musicians. Now, this is very thematic. You've got Portuguese guitar players over here. You've got classical guitar players here. And then you've got singers over here. Now, what you'll do is these areas here are worker placement actions. You'll see them worker placement spots to take an action. Now, over here, you're going to be able to hire from over this group of musicians here or this group here. And if you take this action over here, you'll be able to hire from here or here. And you can hire as many as you want as long as you can afford to do so. And they will take, either one, two, or one money, as well as based upon the level that that person is. Yes, you'll be able to level up your musicians, and the price increases the higher that they get, up to a maximum level of 6. Now, what's really neat about and unique about this game is you're going to have 3 workers to place out. And once all those 3 workers are placed out on a spot, you're not going to take a recall action to bring those workers back. You'll simply be taking an action or a worker off of one spot and placing it to another area where you don't have a worker. And you'll just be continuing that until, again, like I mentioned, 3 of the stars have been taken. So in these worker placement spots, you'll have the main spot that you take the action. But then what's neat is once somebody comes in and takes an action, then they will bump you to one of the 3 different spots below that action, and you'll get some sort of a bonus, which is really unique. I really like that mechanic here. And then that player can then take from that spot, on a future turn and place that worker somewhere else. So again, there's no, recalling a worker. You just simply take a worker from a spot that you're currently at and move it to another section of the board. So yes, so that's the first couple of actions you can take is hiring musicians. Down here, you've got the street. You've got places where you can hire customers to come into your restaurant. And that's what your player board represents, is a restaurant. Again, very thematic. So you'll have a bunch of different colored citizens or street people, customers. You'll have black, gray, and brown. The pink worker is a critic, and there'll be 2 or 3 of those depending upon player count. I'll talk about them a little bit later. Let's focus on the customers right now. What you'll be able to do is, if you notice on your board, you've got tables, and you start off with either a table of 2 or a table of 3. And when you take this action, what you're doing is you're taking from either one side of the street or the other from where the worker placement is. You know, same over here. If you put your worker over here, you're taking from this area or this area. And you're going to take up to as many people as you have an open table for. So I could take 3 customers off of the board. And let's say that I took these 3 here and I placed them at this table. You cannot split them over 2 different tables. You can only take as many as you have open spots for at a table within your restaurant. Now, I will mention that there is this spot that comes off. There's a way of clearing this off, and I'll explain that a little bit better. That's involved with the critic action and increasing reputation in your restaurant. And then that'll unlock a table for 4 people. Now, those colors of those customers are going to be important, and I'll explain that a little bit later with one of the other actions you can take on the board. Now, when you hire musicians, you'll notice that each musician has a little musical note down there at the bottom. And you'll notice that you have this area over here that has 4 different notes. You've got quarter notes and well, and a clef, and different, the 1, the 2, and the 3 note. You'll start with the clef on your board. You've got a little location here to collect those notes. And if you take this action over here, then you can do one of 2 different actions. You can take any one of the notes, or you can complete a song. And if you notice, the songs they each have a clef and then a variety of different notes on there. And so that will allow you to write a song if you have the respective notes that comprise that song. Now, what I mentioned, why I was pointing out the singers is when you hire a musician and bring them into your restaurant, then you will collect the note. That's one way. Another way that you can collect the note is by hiring that musician. So if I was to hire this musician here and put them in my restaurant, then I could have taken this note and put that onto my board. That's this section here. This section here, if you're placing a worker either here or here, then what you're doing is you're taking one of your singers, or I keep calling them singers. Singers are just one of the 3 musicians. You've got spots for 3 on your board that correspond to the 3 different types of musicians that you have up here. These musicians are going to be able to level up, and that's what these dice are for. And this is another really kind of neat thing about the game. If you notice, the die has a little arrow on there, and that represents the direction that you turn the cube to level it up to the next number. And like I said, the highest that you can have a musician is level 6. They all start at level 1. So when you bring a musician in there, you would normally put a die on there to represent that is a level 1 musician. And then again, I'll explain how you level this up. I'm getting to a really neat part of the game. But these spots here are places where you can promote a musician. If you take this spot, you can promote the Portuguese guitar here, the singer here, and the classical guitar player over here. And then what you're going to do is when you place them here, you will take the leftmost reputation cube and place it in that spot. Now, this is kind of like an area control or area majority area for your spot for your cubes, your reputation cubes. At the end of the game, the person that has the most cubes there will score an amount of victory points as determined by these little chits that you'll put out here on the board randomly. There's 3 different ones that you can place out on the board. So, yeah, that's one of the ways that you can get these reputation cubes off of this board. Another way to do that is let's go back to these street locations. Rather than taking customers off the board, you can take the critic. Now, when you take the critic takes up a whole table, and you actually have to spend money to hire the critic. At the very start of the game, you're going to spend $2 to hire him. Whereas the customers, they're free. You just bring them into the restaurant, and you sit them at a table, and they'll eat, and they'll actually pay you. Again, I'll explain that here in just a minute. The critic, though, when at the end of the round, and again, I'm saving that for the last, he will remove 2 of these reputation cubes from the board. Now, as you look at the board and you look at the reputation track down there, as the cubes come off, they're going to open up different perks in your restaurant. One of them being is that you'll be able to remove this off of your four top table to make that available. And that happens once you remove this cube here. And then the critic, as you move over, will cost less as you go down this board. So, and I think I said it was $2 originally. The critic originally you have to pay $3 to get him into your restaurant. But as you unlock your reputation, again, if you think about thematic here or theme here, your restaurant's becoming more reputable. And so the critic, it costs less to bring him in. He's more likely to come into your restaurant. Now, another place that you can put your worker in, and I've been saving this for last, is actually on your board, on your table, and that on your restaurant board. What that's going to do is close your restaurant down for the night. So what'll happen is a couple different things. First of all of your customers are going to pay you for their meal, and they will each pay you $2, $1. You'll start off at $1. They'll each pay $1, except for the critic. The critic doesn't pay for his meal. But as you can see, they start paying $1. But as you get more reputation, as your restaurant becomes more reputable, you can charge more for your food. And then what'll happen is they'll pay more as they stand up there. So yeah, the first thing you'll do is you'll collect the money from your patrons, from the customers. But then what they're going to do is they're going to clap. And this is what's really neat. So let's say I have a guitarist here and he's a level 1, right? Well, what they're all going to do is they're going to clap for all the musicians that you have on the board. Let's say I had a singer and I have a guitarist here and they're both level 1. Well, this is where the color of the patrons matter. The brown customers are going to clap for either one, and you'll choose of your guitar players. Whereas the black singers will clap for the singer. I'm sorry, the black customers will clap for the singer. But then you have these gray customers that can come into your restaurant, and they are kind of a wild. They can clap for anyone on in your restaurant. And then what'll happen is in order to level from 1 to 2, it's going to take just one person clapping. To level from 2 to 3 or 3 to 4, it'll take two customers clapping, and so on up to the sixth. So I could assign these if I wanted. I could take one of the brown people and assign him to clap for my guitar player, and then I'd have one that could clap for my singer, and of course, I can only have three here, but let's say I had four customers at my table. Then I could assign the black and the gray to clap a second time to level this up to 3. So this essentially could get this singer up to level 3 and this guy up to level 2. All right. And then once they've all clapped and applauded, then they leave your restaurant and they'll go off to the side. The critic will leave. And now you've got these two singers out here on the board. Now, there's a couple different things you can do. You can send them out back to the different places out here on the street, and you'll score victory points based upon the level that they are. Or you can hang on to them to take this action down here to have them perform at these little clubs, these street clubs, and then that's where you can put your cube there to score the majority, the area majority for those different spots. So now that you know that's really the only actions that you take. It's limited. There's not a lot. You're going to be writing songs. You're going to be hiring musicians. You're going to be leveling those musicians up. You're going to be increasing the reputation of your restaurant, all in the matter of scoring these victory points. So the 5 different stars that can trigger the end is you've got one over there. Once somebody has completed 3 songs, that's one way of getting the star over there. Once any of your musicians has reached level 6, let's say this person reached level 6, then immediately I would take him and put, or her, and put him or her into this spot here, and there's one for each of the musicians, and then I would take a star for that respective singer. And then another star here is if you clear all your reputation off of your reputation track. Once 3 of those stars have been achieved, then that's what triggers the end of the game. You'll score your victory points for different people that are on, different musicians that are on there. You'll score for your majority of cubes in the different restaurants, or these different these different locales up here, and the person with the most victory points wins the game. All right. What do I think about House of Fado? Well, it is a lot lighter. It is not a 2-hour game, 3-hour game that's typical of a Lacerda game. I would say, and let's see, Board Game Geek says this takes from 30 to 60 minutes, and that's about right. About an hour game once everybody understands the rules. An hour, hour and a half is kind of pushing it, is about the top for this game. It's really easy to learn. There are different, very set different spots within the board, really only 3, maybe 4 different areas to place your workers. There's the hiring of the musicians, there's the bringing in the customers, there's the notes, and there's closing your restaurant, as well as that locale place where you can assign your singers to perform. So there's not a lot of different actions to take. What do I think about the game? I really like it. I really like it. I'm typically a heavy, mid to heavy Euro game player, so this type of game really appeals to me. And the fact that I can get a Lacerda game to the table and played very quickly is really enjoyable to me, very appealing to me. The people that I've played this with, I've been able to teach very quickly, and they've all enjoyed playing it. It's a very thematic game. It stays true to, you've got some musicians out there. It's all about hiring those musicians, getting them into your restaurant, getting customers into your restaurant to applaud for them and level them up to make them better, all while paying for meals in your restaurant to get money to be able to pay for other things like the critic, or to get other musicians in there. The whole action of closing your restaurant. The fact that your board is a restaurant and it's got all these tables in there is just really, really neat. You feel like you're running, I mean, this is kind of pushing it, but you really feel that you're running the restaurant, and all these actions just make sense. You're not taking any particular action just for the sake of doing something. It all makes sense. You're hiring a musician, you're bringing people in from the street, you're bringing in that critic. The fact that the critic won't pay for his meal, you have to pay him to bring him in. I mean, that's thematic. So, again, I keep saying thematic, thematic, thematic. It's very thematic. It's a fun game. I enjoy the different actions that I'm doing. There's a little bit of a tenseness here in that, do I wait to get that note so that I can finish those songs? Is somebody racing to get 3 songs so that they can get that star? Or is somebody racing to get one of their musicians to level 6 so they can get that star? There's a little bit of racing going on, and you don't want to fall short in any particular aspect of the game for fear of somebody else beating you to it. I really like the action of closing the restaurant, and it's funny because in one of the gameplay videos they said, you stand up your meeples and they pay and then they clap, and you don't have to stand them up, but I find myself always doing that, and that's how I teach the game, is I will stand those meeples up and then say, oh, they're going to clap, and they all clap for the musicians. I also like the bumping mechanism here. The fact that I don't have a reclaim my workers action, and that I can wait in a particular spot to get bumped to get some sort of a reward. That plays into your gameplay strategically, because you want to place people out there where you know that somebody else is going to want to go, and you're going to want to pull a worker from a different spot so that you're hoping that you'll get bumped in that location just to get that little bump, which could be anything from getting $1 to getting a person into your restaurant, which I didn't even mention. There's a little bar area. There's two bar stools that you can put people at the bar, customers at your bar to pay for food, and they'll actually clap for the people as well. So that whole bumping mechanism, it plays into the gameplay. It's not just there as a gimmick. It's a very strategic decision on where to place things and who to bump and how long to keep a particular person there. It's neat. Also, when it comes to the artwork of the game, and I didn't even mention the artist. The artist is Marina Costa, and this artwork is just gorgeous. The musicians, the tiles, the board, it's it looks beautiful. It tells a story. It has the different places to hire the musicians. It's got the street, your restaurant board, very beautiful. The first player marker being this wood token, the money being cardboard chits and not paper money. Or I like the tiles are all of the cardboard components are very durable, and the meeples, even the dice, even down to the dice having the little arrows. I'm holding it up to the camera and you can't see that. But the little arrows that point to the direction that you need to turn the die. I mean, there was a lot of attention to detail spent in the game. I would rate this a 9, a very solid 9. It's a game that is not just a filler. It's one that I would feature on a game night, maybe even get 2 plays in. It's one that I will have fun playing. It's one that I have fun teaching. And I haven't had a group of people not like the experience of playing this game yet. It's it makes me want to go out and experience some of these other light Lacerda games that are out there. I've heard good things about Bot Factory, so I'm trying to get a copy of that, and so my hopes are up. I think that this lineup of light Lacerda games is good, and there's a audience for it. And it's not just people that play the heavier games. This is a solid game in and of itself, and it's definitely one that I would recommend to you to add to your collection. So that is House of Fado. And folks, I want to thank you for tuning into this video and watching it. I hope that it told you something about the game you didn't know. I'd like to know your thoughts about it. Are you a Lacerda fan? Do you like those heavy Euro-y type games that he's well known for? Are lighter games like this appealing to you, or would that not be appealing because you like the heavier stuff? Let me know. And if you like this, please subscribe to my channel. That really means a lot and helps me out. And above all else, folks, have fun gaming and treat each other well. Bye now.